This video I'll be showing you how the 3-terminal type overdrive solenoid works, and it's only slightly different to the more common 2-terminal type solenoid, which it actually is only one. There's only one of this is pretty much only two, because the other terminal, there's one terminal that's not really used. This is a direct fit, direct replacement to the other one. Same shaft length. It's not the rare shaft length. It's just a common one. There's a part number for you there. 119985. So at the top you have the same terminal as on the other one, and this is the one that's not used, which in this case happens to be number 6. As you can see, these terminals are numbered 4, 6, and 8. I don't know why it's not just 1, 2, 3. Got no idea why it's 4, 6, and 8. So terminal number 6 is not used. Depending on the setup you have. Like I mentioned on the other video, so if you haven't watched it, I've got another video on another solenoid, pretty much the same solenoid, just with the one less terminal. And the way it would work is that you'd have a kick down switch, which would just basically shut off the overdrive, so that you could get full power in third gear. So engine RPMs would increase basically, and that would allow you to overtake another car. But in my case, I don't have that kick down switch, which was just a 2-position switch under the accelerator, or sometimes on the accelerator shaft. I don't have that, and it's not really necessary. It's just a convenience, right? You floor the gas pedal, instead of it staying in overdrive, it kicks down to third normal without the overdrive. That's all it does. So that's the terminal that would go and to the ignition coil, or to the kickdown switch, and it would turn off the ignition. So that's the one that's not really necessary. The other one is just the same. It's got that bar. The other one I referred to is number 8. That's a positive terminal. It comes from the relay. This one is slightly different. It's got the contact. It's got the this bar here for the screw. Then it's got a little wire that goes to the contact points. And the contact points got like a neat set of little plastic or rubber insulator cap there, and as you can see, there's a wire. So on the other solenoid, the wire was just connected directly to this bar here, and it melted on the other one. So this one is probably much easier to replace this if we ever had to. Contact points, and the wire, as you can see, just comes from the inside there. So that's the positive terminal. And with this wire here, the thing that I like about this one, with this wire here, this wire would probably melt before the breaker bar. So this wire itself here acts as a fuse. So this unit here is certainly more reliable than the other one. And finally, for the other terminal, the one that doesn't exist on the other terminal, which is pretty much number 4. So if you recall, if you watch the other solenoid video, remember that the ground wire for the coil, remember inside here there's a coil. It's connected directly to the housing, to the body of the solenoid, so it's grounded directly. But over here, it actually has a terminal. It's insulated. I'll try to zoom in there. I'll turn it around a little bit. As you can see, both coils have a negative terminal, which is really, really, really neat. Because with it being grounded, with it having an external terminal, we can control it here. So on the other one, there's no way to control the negative terminal because it's connected directly to the body. There's no way you can change that. But here, you could actually turn it off. So there's basically two ways to turn this ignition coil on or off. You need the positive and you need the negative, which can be controlled. So again, with any electrical device, you need at least two inputs, positive and a negative. And this relates a lot to that relay, because what this externally insulated negative ground terminal here allows me to do is I can get the governor, I can get the wire from the governor and control the solenoid directly. So what I'm trying to say is, with the overdrive, you need two things. You need the correct RPM and you need the manual switch, the toggle switch on or off from the driver that wants to put the overdrive on. So you need two controls. Since that other solenoid only had one control, you could only control the positive. That meant that you needed two controls on the relay. So that relay was a 4-terminal relay, and you could control the negative and you can control the positive. And those relays are kind of expensive and they're harder to find. Now, with me having this negative insulated terminal here, I no longer need a 4-terminal relay. Instead of controlling the relay, I can just control the solenoid directly. So the ground would come from the governor and it would control the relay, which would then allow the solenoid to be on or off. Here, instead of going to the relay, we can just do that directly on the solenoid. Explanation is a little bit difficult in words, but I've been looking around and there's some earlier style of overdrives. And again, the reason you need a correct RPM is because theoretically the overdrive is not designed to operate in first gear. The excessive force would crush the needle, the bearings or the rollers. However, if the overdrive was designed stronger, or in turn the car is lighter, then this all would just be obsolete, because we could just have overdrive in all 3 gears, not just second or third. And in my case, just in third. So there are some earlier units that just had mechanical overdrive. So there was no solenoid, it just operated entirely mechanically, which is very, very nice. I think it's the R6 or R7 overdrive. I'd love to get my hands on that someday. But for now, you need the governor, you need two controls. If there's a few different ways, there's basically 3 different ways to control the circuit. So in this case, the governor happens to be the negative ground. So that works as a switch. The governor acts as a switch. You need 2 switches on at the same time for the overdrive to work. Now you could have, one is a positive, one is a negative. You could have 2 positives or you could have 2 negatives. So you could, for 2 positives, you need 2 relays with just 1 terminal. So that starter relay such as this, although they only have 2 terminals, one of them is just an output terminal. This terminal here, the I terminal, you can see it's rarely used and it's connected to nothing. It's just the same as this big terminal here, the output terminal. So some earlier styles don't even have this terminal anymore. you could just connect a wire directly to here. This is exactly the same as this. Now this here is the input, the positive input, because the coil on this starter solenoid relay is grounded directly to the car. So this here is the input switch. So you could have two of those starter relays in series, and that way they still both would require a positive positive wire to turn them on, so that would work as well. But the problem is the governor is designed as a ground terminal. So I bought another governor, still hasn't arrived, and it is possible to modify it so that it's positive. That way you could use that as starter relay, or rather two. But this here is much better because instead of, like I said, instead of controlling the relay to then control this, you can just, with this 3-terminal solenoid, you can just control it directly, because the negative ground is already built into it here, the insulated ground, so you can control it. If the ground, again, my main point here is, if the negative wire of the coil is connected directly to the solenoid, then there's no way, it's just permanently on. It's permanently connected to the negative side of the battery. But with it being insulated, now we can control it. We can disconnect it and we connect it. But if it's already connected directly, then we can't disconnect it because it's soldered or welded on. Right? So that's my main point. So with this type of solenoid here, the 3-terminal solenoid, I don't need that more complex, the more expensive 4-terminal true terminal relay with two inputs, the negative and the positive. I can just use a normal, standard single input relay, like that starter relay. And the way the wiring would work is the governor wire would come directly to this here, to terminal number 4, and it would turn the ground on or off directly. And again, you need the ground, which is negative usually. You need the negative and the positive to be able to turn the coil on, or any electrical piece of equipment. So the governor, instead of the governor controlling the relay, the governor would control the solenoid directly. So I hope this helps. I thought it would be interesting. This particular unit here that I have it looks like it's brand new. And I've got this whole overdrive transmission here, T96 with the R10. I tested this, by the way, and it does work. So if anybody's interested in buying it, I won't sell it cheap. I will sell it for the right price, because otherwise I can just use it as a backup. I want to save it as a backup. But for the right price, I'll let someone else have it. So thanks for watching.